There is a version of you that people cannot forget, not because you tried, not because you chased, but because you stayed in their mind long after you left. And the strange part is you never forced that. You never asked for attention. You never tried to be everything. You simply felt different. And for someone who is used to distance, someone who pulls away when things get too close, that difference becomes dangerous because avoidant people do not fear people. They fear what they feel. Around them, they fear losing control. They fear needing someone. They fear that quiet moment where they realize they care more than they want it to. So they build distance, not loudly, but carefully. A delayed reply, a shorter message, a subtle shift in energy. And most people react. They feel it and they chase. They try to fix what is pulling away. They try to close the distance. But that is where everything breaks, because the moment you chase, you confirm their fear, that closeness comes with pressure, that connection comes with expectation, and they disappear again. But there is another way, a way that does not push, a way that does not demand, a way that slowly pulls them in without them realizing when it started. It begins with restraint, not silence, not distance, but control. You respond, but not instantly. You engage, but not completely. You open, but not all at once. And this creates something unfamiliar, something they cannot immediately understand, and what the mind cannot understand, it returns to again and again. This is where you begin to exist in their thoughts, not loudly, but repeatedly. They will not admit this, but they will feel it, a subtle pull towards you, a curiosity they cannot ignore, a question they keep returning to. Why does this feel different? Because you are not giving them everything, and you are not taking anything. You are simply existing in a way that does not disturb their space, but quietly enters it. And that is where they begin to lower their guard, not fully, never fully, but enough to stay a little longer, to reply a little more, to think a little deeper. And this is where most people lose control, because they feel it, they feel the shift, and they rush, they try to hold it, to secure it, to make it real too quickly. And the moment they do, it disappears. But you do not move. You stay exactly where you are, grounded, calm, untouched by the urgency, and that creates tension. Not chaos, not confusion, but something far more powerful, anticipation. Because now they are not reacting to you, they are waiting for you. Waiting for your next message, your next appearance, your next shift in energy. And waiting is where attachment begins. They check their phone, not because you texted, but because they hope you did. They replay your words, not because they were long, but because they meant something. You said less, but it stayed longer. And now, without realizing it, they begin adjusting to you. Their timing changes, their attention increases, their distance softens. And this is how control quietly shifts, not through force, but through presence. You are no longer trying to hold the connection. You are simply not breaking it. And that is enough. Because now they are the ones holding it, even if they do not realize it yet. And this is only the beginning. There is a point where curiosity stops being light and starts becoming weight, not heavy, not overwhelming, but present, always there in the background. This is where they stop just noticing you and start feeling you. And feeling is what changes everything. Because once someone feels something for you, distance does not feel the same anymore. It feels like something is missing. And they do not like that feeling, not because it hurts, but because it means they are losing control. So they do what they have always done. They pull back again. Shorter replies, less consistency, a shift you can feel without them saying anything. And this moment, because this is where most people fail, they see the distance and they react, they reach out more, they try to reconnect, to fix what feels like it is slipping. But what they do not see is that nothing is slipping, something is forming, and your reaction decides whether it grows or disappears. So instead of chasing, you lean back, not emotionally, but physically. In your behavior, you give space, but not silence. You stay present, but not available all the time. And this creates something they are not used to. You are not reacting to their distance. You are unaffected by it. And that unsettles them, because now their usual pattern does not work. They expected you to chase, to close the gap, to prove you care, but you did not. And now they are left with their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own curiosity, and curiosity without answers becomes obsession. They start wondering, why did you not react? Why did you not move closer? Why do you feel so calm? And calm in a world of emotional reactions feels powerful, so they come back, not loudly, not directly, but subtly, a message that feels casual, a question that has no real purpose, a reason to reopen the connection. And this is where the dynamic flips again, because now they are not just responding, they are returning. And the way you receive this decides how deep this goes. Most people reward this moment too much. They become available, emotionally open too quickly. And again, the pressure returns, but you do not change. You stay consistent, steady, grounded. You respond with warmth, but not intensity. You acknowledge, but you do not overgive. And this does something very specific. It teaches them that coming closer to you feels safe, not overwhelming, not demanding, and safety. For someone avoidant is rare, so rare that once they feel it, they do not want to lose it. Now they begin investing small things at first, time, attention, presence. They stay a little longer. In conversations, they ask a little more about you. They reveal small pieces of themselves. And this is important because avoidants do not open quickly. They open carefully and only when they feel in control. And with you, they feel that control because you never tried to take it from them. So they go deeper, not fast, but willingly. And now something shifts. Again, you are no longer just interesting. You are becoming important, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, consistently. You enter their thoughts more often. You stay in their mind longer. You begin to matter. And once you matter to someone like this, they stop running as easily, not because they cannot, but because they are starting to feel the difference between distance and connection. And with you, connection does not feel like a threat. It feels like something they might actually want. And that is where everything deepens. There is a point where it is no longer just curiosity, no longer just interest. It becomes something quieter, something deeper, something they do not fully understand, but they feel it all the time. This is where you stop being a moment and start becoming a presence, not just someone they talk to, but someone they carry with them in their thoughts, in their silence, in the spaces between everything else. And this is where it changes again, because now distance feels different. It does not feel safe anymore. It feels noticeable, like something is missing, and they do not like that feeling, not because it hurts, but because it means they are attached. And attachment is exactly what they avoid, so they hesitate, they slow down. Again, they try to create space just enough to feel in control. But something is different, because now when they step back, they feel you more, not less. This is the moment they realize, something has changed. You are not easy to forget. You are not easy to replace. You are not just another connection. You feel specific, and specificity creates attachment. They start comparing without meaning to your calm to others, chaos, your presence to others, pressure, your silence to others, noise, and the difference becomes clear. You feel better, not more intense, not more exciting, but more stable. And stability to someone who lives in emotional distance feels addictive, because now you are not just giving them something, you are giving them an experience they do not get anywhere else, and they begin seeking it, not directly, not obviously, but consistently. They return to you again and again and again, each time staying a little longer, each time opening a little more, each time feeling a little deeper. This is where emotional dependency begins, not forced, not demanded, but built through repetition, through comfort, through contrast. They start associating you with how they feel, calm, clear, safe, and slightly pulled in. And now your presence is no longer optional. It becomes something they look for, even when they do not admit it. They check their phone more often. They notice your absence faster. They feel your silence more deeply. And this is where it locks in, because now you are not just someone they like. You are someone they feel, and feelings attached this way do not fade easily. They try to pull away, but it does not feel the same anymore. They try to create distance, but it feels unnatural because now distance does not bring relief. It brings absence, and your absence is no longer empty. It is filled with memory, with feeling, with you. This is the moment they stop running, not because they cannot, but because they do not want to. You never forced this. You never chased it. You never asked for more. You simply became someone they could not disconnect from. And that's what stays, not intensity, not pressure, but presence. And once your presence becomes part of them, leaving no longer feels natural. It feels like losing something they did not expect to need. And that is where they stay. It does not happen in one big moment. It happens in small scenes, moments most people ignore. But these are the moments that build everything. A late night when their phone is quiet and without thinking they open your chat, not to text, just to look, to feel. That connection, again, they scroll through old messages, not because they are bored, but because something in them wants to return to how it felt. This is not logic, this is imprint. Another moment, they are with friends, laughing, talking, but something pulls their attention away. Just for a second, and your name appears in their mind. They do not say it, but they feel it. You are there, even when you are not. This is where you become part of their pattern, not forced, not intentional, but automatic. And now, watch what happens. They start reaching for you in subtle ways, a message that seems casual, but was not, a question that did not need to be asked, but created a reason to talk. This is not coincidence. This is pull. And the more they follow it, the stronger it becomes, because every time they come back to you, they feel that same calm, that same ease, that same absence of pressure, and their mind begins to connect you with relief, not excitement alone, but something deeper, something they can stay in. This is where you become their default, not because you asked, but because nothing else feels the same. Now imagine this moment they decide to pull away again, not because they want to leave, but because they feel the attachment growing. So they create space, they go quiet, they step back, and they wait to feel free again. But this time, something is different. The space does not feel good, it feels empty. And in that emptiness, your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. They try to distract themselves, they focus on other things, other people, but it does not stick, because what they felt with you was not common, and the mind does not easily replace what felt real. So they come back not because they planned to, but because they could not stay away. This is where it becomes something else, not just attraction, not just attachment, but reliance. They begin to rely on your presence, not in a loud way, not in a needy way, but quietly, consistently. You become their reset, their calm, their place where things feel clear again. And now, without saying it, they choose you again and again and again, not because they have to, but because they want to. And wanting is stronger than needing, because it feels like a choice. And when someone chooses you like this, without pressure, without force, without being asked, that connection becomes very hard to break. Because now you are not just part of their life, you are part of how they feel, and people do not walk away from how they feel. They return to it again and again. And that is how someone who once avoided connection ends up choosing you without even realizing when it started. It always shows up in the smallest moments, not in big confessions, not in dramatic scenes, but in the quiet, almost invisible shifts, like when your name appears on their screen and they feel something before they even open it, a slight tension, a pull, a curiosity they do not question anymore. They open your message slowly because they are busy, but because they want to feel it. And your message is simple, short, almost effortless, but it lands because it is not trying too hard. And this is what separates you. You do not chase through words, you create feeling through space. Now imagine this moment. They send you something small, maybe just, hey, nothing special, but it is not about the message. It is about the reach. They are reaching for you. And most people miss this. They either over-respond or under-respond, but you stay balanced. You reply with just enough warmth, just enough presence, just enough interest to keep the moment alive. And then you release it. You do not hold the conversation tightly. You let it breathe. And this is where they start leaning in. More because now they are not being pulled. They are on their own. Another moment, they take longer to reply. Hours pass, maybe even a full day. Most people react, they double text, they question, they shift emotionally. But you do nothing, not out of pride, not out of games, but out of control. You understand something. They do not attention given too easily loses value. Attention given with presence gains weight. So when they return, you are still the same, not cold, not overly warm, just steady. And this unsettles them because now they cannot predict you. And unpredictability in a calm form is addictive. Another moment, you disappear for a while, not dramatically, not to create distance, but because you are living your life. And when you return, you do not explain, you do not justify, you simply continue. And this does something very deep. It shows that your world does not revolve around them. And instead of pushing them away, it pulls them closer because now they feel they have to step into your world, not the other way around. And this is where the final shift happens. They stop seeing you as an option and start feeling you as something they could lose. And the fear of losing something real is stronger than the fear of connection. So they stay, not because they are trapped, but because leaving does not feel right anymore. And now look at the full picture. You never chased, you never forced, you never demanded, you simply understood what most people do not. That attraction is not built through effort alone. It is built through feeling, through timing, through space, through control. And when all of that comes together, you become impossible to ignore. Not because you are loud, but because you stay in their mind, in their feeling, in their absence. And that is what creates something they cannot walk away from, not easily. Not completely, sometimes not at all. And it all started with something simple. You did not chase, you understood, and that changed everything. And if you really understand this, you stop chasing, not because you do not care, but because you no longer need to. You stop trying to hold people in place. And instead, you become someone they do not want to lose because your presence does not feel like pressure. It feels like peace. And peace is rare, especially for someone who is used to running. So when they find it, they stay closer than they planned, longer than they expected, and deeper than they intended, not because you forced them, but because you changed how it felt to be with you. And that is what stays, not words, not effort, but feeling. If this made sense to you, then you are starting to see what most people miss. And if you want to go deeper into this, to understand how attraction really works beneath the surface, make sure you subscribe, because in the next video, we are going even further into how to make someone emotionally invest in you without asking for their attention. And once you understand that, you will never need to chase again